What is up, guys? Jared here, Dex and Dice, Ramblings of an LGS owner, here today with a true, just rambling session. You could call this Dad Talk number 2. Um, so I had the last 2 days off, which is fucking amazing. That hasn't happened in about a month or two now. And all thanks to this ain't gonna make any sense to you guys, but all thanks to Dark Jared yesterday coming in clutch with basically just telling me that he's gonna be at the shop at noon because he was gonna do the Riftbound pre-Rift event, and if I wanted to stay the fuck home, then I stayed the fuck home. So it's what I did. So Dark Jared, fellow black man, you're amazing. I greatly appreciate you, as you know. Anyways. So, again, no real trajectory for this talk. It's just me squirrel braining it, and I apologize, but not sorry at the same time. From some of the videos I was able to catch up on and see and all that good stuff while I was on my little hiatus, I think that I need to reiterate some of the stuff that I have said in previous videos that, I don't know, man. And this might be me having main character syndrome, and I get that, but, it seems that some of you, I get it. You don't want to invite me to the barbecue. That's fucking fine. No fucking butthurt feelings there, But at the very least, at least act like we live in the same fucking neighborhood. Because a lot of the shit that you guys are coming up with now is shit that I have covered and mentioned previously. And it's like, well, Anyways. I can't stress enough that you can't compare yourself to the next person. I did this a lot the first year, maybe 2 years I was open with the other shop that is 20 minutes down the road. Nothing against him, dude's cool, all that good shit, but he was just default.exe shop, everyone went there, blah blah blah, he had been here 5 years prior, he was the place to go. So every step that I would make, I'd be like, well, shit, what's he doing? How's he doing? All that good shit. And then, what I kind of realized? The shit that I was doing, the shit that I was trying out, just to see if it would work or whatever, he would do the same. And that's complimentary, big time. Also, it seems that me being here eventually got him to just be more proactive, not to sit on his laurels, not to be like, well, I'm the only shop to go to, so I can just not do anything. So, yeah. Anyways. And I see a bunch of you guys doing that shit already. Whether you're going to openly admit it or not, you do it. It's human nature. We all do it. It's just you've got to catch yourself before it becomes detrimental to your mental, okay? Yes, you can use it as motivation. By all means, use it as the best motivation ever. However, understand that you're most likely not going to end up where they are. Take me and Rob, for instance. Me and Rob literally started, I think there's a 2 or a 3 month gap in between us. We both started here, but Rob went the way the fuck up there, and I'm just here. That's no shade at Rob. He knows this. We've talked about this. But his entire, network, his entire starting point, everything that he had, circumstance-wise and everything, was entirely different than what my circumstances allowed me to do. And that's the difference, guys. You never will 100% know the advantages and disadvantages that the person you're trying to compare yourself to actually has. There's going to be some shit that they're most likely just never going to tell you, or they will tell you, but it won't be something they just point out directly. It's something that just squeaks out in conversation, and you got to be quick enough to catch it and be like, oh, okay, cool, now I know. So you gotta stop. It's okay to do it to a certain point, but only to the like motivational point, okay? To where you buckle down and do what's working for you. Because, as I've said before in a lot of other videos, there is no real right or wrong way to do this. And like, everyone has their ways of doing stuff. You can chaos sort, alpha sort, whatever, buy in bulk, collections, you lucky enough to get distro, whatever, dude. There's a myriad of ways to maybe not necessarily do the LGS route, okay? Because that's not necessarily static, but it's way more rigid than just for most of you guys out there who are watching us who have LGSs. Most of you are just doing this as a side hustle, right? So what works here might not actually translate to you guys, but you might be able to pick and choose what you get what I'm saying. And another thing, this brings it up because I was talking about like the actual shop and me and all that. 9 times out of 10, most people who own a shop, a legit shop, is like a sole proprietorship or a simple doing business as XYZ, you know? This translates to you guys trying to do this like officially as like, you know, your little hobby or whatever, you know, your side business. Most of the times, because I'm pretty sure this is universal, but I'm going to say most of the times, and this is not financial advice or anything like that, it's just something that you should like keep your heads up about. Most of the times, shop money, your money are the same because you're the same entity, right? Like the money my shop makes is completely liquid with, like, if I had a full-time job or something on top of this, again, is completely liquid. So you can take and move from, if you have different accounts, you don't need different accounts. It's easier for accounting purposes, but you don't need a separate account. It's liquid. So you don't necessarily know if someone who has some kind of a financial advantage all of a sudden, you don't really know if they're putting personal funds into this endeavor to get that little bit of an edge, right? And especially if it's like a joint account with a significant other or whatever, that's two other revenue streams going into the shop stream that is technically the same money and technically business money, but like an unfair-ish advantage to have. Like, it's legal, you can do it, I get it, but like, it's kind of unfair if you're trying to show it off as like pure business move, if what I'm laying down makes any sense. So like, that's something you guys might need to take into consideration too. You know, because crap, I had a really good example for that and it just completely like escaped. Oh. If you go back like a year or two in my videos, there's a video about this particular situation, and there is still a fairly, I guess they're prominent still. Anyways, who started himself out as, I'm doing this business as a, let's see what happens, I enjoy the sphere, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I do have a a business on top of this that, you know, is kind of helping perpetuate this or whatever. But there was never any real discussion beyond that. And then once you started seeing the moves that this guy was able to make in less than 8 months, like we're talking about buying 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cases at one time, the first 3 months he's open, buying a fucking fizz batch the first 6 months he's open, opening up an LGS full and foremost because he wanted distro access and all that shit within the first 9 months he was open. You kind of have to know that the other business he had was super fucking successful, and his LGS hobby money was fun money, and he was just funneling money from one to the other to help the other one grow to do what he did as quickly as he did. So, like, that's why I said you guys got to watch out for this shit, because there are plenty of people out there like this in this sphere that aren't as upfront as you would like them to be, and will make you feel a certain way because you're not where they are, and your circumstances are probably worlds, if not universes, apart. Okay? And I know that this is a lesson that seems to be having to be regurgitated a lot, but as much and as weird as this sounds for me to tell you guys, that's kind of what a teacher does. You regurgitate the same shit over and over again because the core doesn't change, The audience might change or whatever, or someone might need to hear it in a different manner, but the core thesis does not change. So, like, you just do you, boo-boo. Especially at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is your bank account doesn't say zero, you're not in debt, you're bringing stuff in, you're perpetuating your cycle, you're doing what you need to do, you're above water, everything is going okay. You can't be like, everything's perfect, because hardly anything is ever perfect, okay? And just keep your head above water, and you keep doing what is working for you. And fuck everything else, man. Now, there might be a time where, like, you do a quarterly check-in, or maybe even like a 6-month check-in or whatever on your own finances, your own progress, and figure out what you might want to tweak. Maybe you can afford to get like an actual like Fujitsu scanner or something, and not use the little $400 Brother scanner I have, which still works pretty much the same. Or maybe you have been super fucking successful enough to where you can get a fizz batch for sorting or whatever. There's check in on your own time frame, figure your own shit out, do it your own fucking way. As long as it's working, continue to do that, because that's what you're familiar with, and that's what's going to make your business or your side hustle or whatever continue to just go in the right direction. So, keep that in mind, guys. Another thing is like, well, I guess that's kind of really about all I had. That was the main thing that just kind of popped up, and it's one of those things where I figured I should address it again and sound like a broken record. I apologize about that, but it seems that it's something that you guys might need to hear again. And just understand that it's not really the right thing to do. You also kind of got to take into consideration that, like, and I mean this in the best way possible, okay? This is some shit that just might tend to happen, to where, like, maybe the people that you start with or whatever, they get so successful and so busy that you might fall off their radar a little bit. They might not be as quick to answer with you or whatever, and they might not have as much time to devote to just bullshit conversations or anything like that. If that happens, don't feel a certain way about that either. It happens when you get successful, man. You don't have the time to have as many BS conversations as you used to, because your brain is full of other shit, like, do I buy this? How do I sell that? What do I do next? What's the next move? Should I do X, Y, and Z? Like, you're always scheming and thinking about how to improve what you're doing, or trying to like project where you'd like to be, or figuring out another source for product, all that good stuff. So like you just get busy, and sometimes things just fall to the wayside. Don't feel a specific way about that either, man. um, it just happens, and 9 times out of 10 they can get back to you, and you can have these little conversations and stuff. But if it ever does start to get fewer and farther between, and the responses end up being more like cut and dry, business like, and all that, don't take it personal. Just understand that they're busier, and they're trying their best to include you into their day to day, because they enjoy your conversation, understand that you were important, but they just can't quite give you full attention. So remember those two little things, guys, and you'll be okay. Um, there's no legit reason for you to try and think that the way that we do things is the only way to do things, because it's not. It just happened to work for us. And there are a shit ton of common, generalized things that you should know already that just works, you know? And that stuff is easy. Get product, list product, sell product, continue. That's the entire fucking cycle. And then you can get into the nitty gritties on watching other people and taking other advices on do this, not that, I did this, it worked, all that good shit, whatever. But once you find what works for you, just keep that cycle going. That's all you really need to work on for your first year, maybe 2 of doing this, is finding the cycle that works for you and perpetuating it. That's it. Yeah, I guess that's really about all I got, man. You guys have a good one. Remember, life is not a dick. You don't have to take it so hard. Sometimes a dick wins, and you're a trash can, not a trash can't. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.